what is happening? I don't know if you've noticed lately, but it seems like there has been a bit of a resurgence when it comes to diet culture. I recently posted a reel on Instagram, and it resonated with a lot of you.
My favorite thing to be is skinny.
I'm tired of being fat.
I've lost 100 pounds. Here's the best and fastest way to lose 50 pounds and love what you see when you look in the mirror.
The reason why you're fat is because you don't try hard enough.
In 12 weeks, I took my body from this.
Y'all, how I went from a big back baby to a snatch.
You gotta be in a calorie deficit.
So today we're going to just be diving into the whys and ins and outs of why diet culture is creeping back, or really just kind of taking off to exponential heights, and kind of that disappearance of self-love and body positivity. What does this mean for society? What does this mean for you and me? What does this mean for the future? Because it affects all of us. We've been seeing stars from Christina Aguilera to Kelly Clarkson to, well, even Lizzo. Shrink. I've noticed I'll hop on and, my favorite YouTuber or influencer is smaller. And listen, bodies change, and we're not supposed to be speculating about what someone is doing. Never want to do that. But there is an initial feeling when you see it where you're like, should I be losing weight right now? Let's get into it. The best way to talk about where we are is to kind of go back to where we were. Body positivity, right? When we talk about the body positivity movement, we think about kind of the later stages of it now. You think of Ashley Graham and Tess Holliday. But before all of that, body positivity started in the 60s, 70s as a fat activism, where you get health at any size, especially when it came to marginalized bodies. So Black and brown bodies in particular, right? So it starts there. That's probably its first iteration. It has another iteration in the 90s where you get fitness and workout spaces that were more inclusive and safe for people of diverse bodies. And then you get into the 2010s, which we're most familiar with. You've got that Dove, The Real campaign. You're seeing more diversity and body representation. Orange is the New Black comes out. The movie Hairspray came out. So I think that's when body positivity really kind of started to embed itself into our culture. And we're seeing all of this, which is really just the result of the Y2K era. After, years of America's Next Top Model, which was shaming people for their bodies. So I think we finally kind of were ready to leave that behind. And I think that's when body positivity started to, kind of have its third wave of activism. Then we get to kind of a peak. I would say around 2020, which, yes, happens to coincide with the pandemic. We see what we now know was the climax of body positivity, self-love, body confidence, representation, inclusivity. People were at home. People inevitably were gaining weight. People were getting a little bit more introspective. People were losing their lives to COVID, and maybe we were thinking, you know what? Maybe our body is not the most important. The way our body looks like is not the most important thing anymore. At that time, this is when I think I saw a lot of people turn to body positivity and self-love. It was coming from almost every creator who had even just a little bit of jiggle was talking about it, some kind of self-love moment. We can't not also see that it had turned from, again, from the beginning, Black and brown, marginalized bodies, fat positivity, to relatively thin women who did fit the beauty standard. We're talking about body positivity, which is great, but it does kind of dilute the movement. And I think that all plays a part into where we are now. At this point, you've got lots of, body positive content creators. Brands are suddenly embracing this message of inclusivity. Old Navy got a whole campaign about body equality, and this beautiful campaign that later they took out plus sizes out of their stores. For the first time, Abercrombie has curvy size jeans, something I thought I would never see. Lizzo, for the first time, we've got a fat black pop icon that has reached the masses despite the criticism and the trolling and the bullying that still occurred. Social media played a big part in it. Instagram and YouTube were amplifying diverse bodies. And it was so helpful. As someone who struggled with an eating disorder and overexercising, I could finally turn to people who look like me, who look different than me, who were embracing a different side of life. And it was refreshing. It felt hopeful. It felt like we were going somewhere, like we've taken the right steps away from the 90s heroin chic, the nothing feels good as skinny does era, that Y2K low-rise jeans moment. So it felt like we were moving in the right direction, right? The reason why I mentioned, Instagram and YouTube is because there's another platform that we're seeing right now that is unfortunately part of the reason that diet culture has really made its comeback. And that's TikTok. With the rise of TikTok came the TikTok trends. I don't know if you remember these trends, and I hate to blame a generation, but because Gen Z may have not been involved with the 90s and the early 2000s, because they were just being born, right? They had a very idolized vision of the 2000s, and unknowingly, I think, unbeknownst to them, truly, I really don't think they realized, we're bringing some of these toxic ideas about bodies back. Some of the trends that I can remember off the top of my head was you would show like a girl would show a baggy t-shirt and then kind of gather all the fabric so you could see her body shape was actually slender than it was. There was the headphones trend where if you could, I don't know, it was like your waist, something about your waist and headphones, and if you could tie it around your waist. Anyway, a lot of body checking, a lot of body shaming was happening. Some of the trends were coming back. Low-rise jeans, micro minis, and baby tees, and all these fashion trends, which are cute and anyone could wear them, were making a comeback. There was a lot of new phrases and things coming in. The term big back, for example, became a very trending phrase that now people have just integrated. Big back activities, big back behavior. People were calling their toddlers big back, their pets big back. Anyone who had an appetite were being called big back, and it's everywhere. TikTok also had a lot of this idea about glowing up. What I Eat in a Day videos were also extra popular. TikTok is definitely playing a part in it, but a bigger culprit is Ozempic and weight loss drugs. I remember first hearing about it from a creator who had type 2 diabetes and was saying, I am having trouble getting a hold of my medication. Then I started hearing about celebrity Ozempic parties. And I was like, what is Ozempic? Ozempic is a semaglutide injection. It's for insulin resistance, which happens with those who have type 2 diabetes, in all bodies, by the way. And it also helps with weight loss. And people who didn't have type 2 diabetes we're now using this drug to lose weight. Retroactively now, I remember seeing some celebrities suddenly get smaller, and this, not to speculate how or how they did it, but in a true celebrity fashion, things like the rainbow diet and lots of walks were attributed to their sudden weight loss. I don't know how true that is, but I know as someone who who used to try to lose weight. Losing weight is hard. It's not an easy thing to do. And sometimes you take unhealthy measures to do it, to be honest. If you actually want to see results, especially if you want to see results in some of the time span we were seeing them in. As we come out of COVID and the pandemic, people are getting back on track with their lives, even going back to the office. I work from home, hopefully forever. But people are starting to go back into the office. People are going on vacation again. People are going out. All of these things are happening again. With that also came the desire to want to lose the weight that people put on during COVID. People have a fear of gaining weight. People don't want to gain weight. We know how society treats people in bigger bodies, people who are fat, and so people wanted to lose weight coming out of the pandemic, out of that time period. So all of these things are playing a part. Suddenly we're seeing brands kind of pull back on their extended sizing. They were never for that inclusion to begin with. We started seeing a decrease of, plus size representation on the runway. Only last year, Victoria's Secret was kind of put in the hot seat about diversity. It was like, hey, all these other brands have come a long way. Some of them true, some of them not. When are you going to get on board with body diversity? And they have this fashion show, not featuring the angels, but some kind of fashion show. It's on Amazon Prime, I believe, like Savage X Fenty, who's kind of a leader in body diversity. And it doesn't do well. It's not received well.
It's okay for things to be exclusive. Like, not everything needs to be inclusive. For example, I feel like we're all seeing the Victoria's Secret fashion show. That was never intended for everybody to be able to do. That is why they were called angels. They were out of this world. They were godly. They were angelic. That was never meant to be obtainable. I don't think we need to be so inclusive at all times for everything. Of course, there's a time and place for everything. But, we're going too far.
People didn't want to see it. People were like, we actually don't want to see that. We want the angels. We want the old. Again, this is the younger generation that is saying this mostly. That we want the stuff that, yes, may have caused eating disorders and body image issues. We want that stuff. We want the very overly thin angels who the models have said themselves that they would starve prior to the fashion show. We want that, not people jiggling down the runway. We don't. I don't want that. And so, what does Victoria's Secret respond with this year? We get the angels. We get the angels back. Yay, right? And all the plus size models weren't dressed like the other standard size models. So, yeah, it was very clear, the messaging there. The angels are back. Here's a little diversity there. But that's it. I also think about when I talk about the celebrities, a few come to mind. The first is Adele. Adele during the pandemic, I believe, around maybe 2020, 2021, reveals a smaller frame, and the reception at the time was the same as usual, which is, she looks better. This is great. Mindy Kaling is another one who comes to mind. Someone who probably didn't know she was championing body diversity on the Mindy Project. She felt like she was really owning her body in that, but there were still self-deprecating jokes in there. So all this to say, I'm not surprised that Mindy Kaling suddenly lost all the weight. Now, again, I'm not saying that it was Ozempic or any weight loss drug. Who knows? But again, all of this plays on your mind a little. You're like, oh, everyone is shrinking. I can't at this point get on social media without seeing another creator who is suddenly smaller. Someone who preached about body diversity and size inclusion, now linking me to a like to know page and offering sizes that they couldn't wear a year ago. It's like, what? I know I've had to block and mute and unfollow a lot of people, and I had to do it for my own sanity. I encourage you to do the same. It's not even about them getting smaller. It truly is like a trust is broken. Yeah. On some level, a little bit of trust has been broken. Did you mean what you said? That all bodies are beautiful? It's hard to believe now. Plus size creators are getting less work. Plus size models are getting less work. Because I'm a creator who's also in the body positivity realm, I have also noticed too, I feel like my content hasn't been reaching the numbers it used to. And I want to say we can blame the algorithm. The algorithm is now pushing out a different narrative. I promise you, when we were all stuck in the house, in the house board, remember that? I feel like we were seeing the self-love and that stuff. And now I feel like it's like if there's someone in charge of that, of the algorithm, they like clicked the body positivity switch and they're like, or a dial. They were like, let's turn that shit down. Let's bump up the weight loss content. Let's bump that up. Let's talk about Lizzo real quick. Last year, Lizzo had 3 dancers kind of come out and accuse her of allegedly talking about their weight discrimination, hostile work environment, sexual harassment, all of the worst things, right? And people took it and ran with it. We saw Lizzo's follower count went from like 16 million to what it is now. I think it's like 11 million followers. She lost so many followers, so much support. Whether those were true or not, I don't know. But she was put on this very high pedestal, but it was a pedestal made out of eggshells. Like it was so fragile. And as soon as something like this comes out, yeah, it crumbled completely. And now, fast forward and Lizzo's losing weight. Yeah. So what's the impact? Why does this even matter? Some people are probably like, who cares? It's your body. Do with it what you want. Yeah, I get that. But it's affecting everyone. I am afraid for the younger generation who is currently growing up and seeing this. This will impact them. I thought it was hard in the 90s and the 2000s to grow up and have bad body image. Theirs is going to be worse. And studies are already showing that. Eating disorders are already on the rise. Body image issues are reaching ages that are younger. Mental health. Seeing the constant messaging to lose weight and that skinny is better all over again, it's hard. There's going to be more exclusion in fashion. More than there was before. We've gone backwards. We've lost the progress that now that I'm seeing it wasn't really progress. There will also be health and medicine implications. I already had a hard time being taken seriously at the doctor. I'm sure it'll only get worse. Because now the standard will shift. That idea will shift on what is healthy will shift again. All this to say, you are not mistaken. There is a decline in body positivity. There is an increase in resurgence of diet culture. But I would love to know what you think. Please comment below what you're seeing, how you're feeling, because you're not alone. I'm feeling it too. We're going to be okay. I think I'm going to stop there, but yeah, I will catch you on the next one. I'm going to try to do more YouTube content. I say that every time and then I don't. But this time I mean it. Okay? So, yeah. And besides, look, I got myself a mic. So I'm serious now. I probably just messed it up. I got a mic. Anyway, like this video if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't. Comment below. Subscribe if you want to. And I will see you on the next one.